My name is Brad Siroski, and I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm an addictions counselor, a mental health worker, a public speaker, a recovering alcoholic, and drug addict. I'm also a cancer survivor and a dad, but none of those titles define me. I spent many years suffering in silence and struggling when I didn't need to. I struggled with alcohol and drug addiction for over 20 years. And it wasn't until I entered my final treatment program that I learned that putting a voice to my pain and suffering was what was going to help me on my recovery journey. The more that I advocated for myself and put a voice to my recovery, the easier things got. As a matter of fact, the first time I did it, the first time I shared my story, it was only in front of 30 people, and they were all friends of mine. But it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. And I instantly felt like this is something that I needed to continue doing in my recovery journey. I know why people don't share though. I know why it's difficult for people to not put a voice to their pain. And it's because of all the stigmas and many other things that are carried with mental health and addictions. I struggled both with addictions and with cancer. And when I would report to the hospital with addictions issues, I would be looked down upon. I would be told that I brought this upon myself. And when I went into the hospital with cancer, people wrapped around me and supported me no matter what. And I just don't know why we can't have that continuous support for everyone all the time, why everyone can't be wrapped around like that no matter what they're suffering with. I also know there's many other things that they suffer with, such as shame and hopelessness and many of the other things that come along with mental health and addictions. I felt a lot of shame through my addictions. I felt a lot of shame in what I had done, the people I had hurt, the father I had become. When you don't even want to look at yourself in the mirror, it's real hard to reach out to other people for support. I know that also there's sometimes a lack of connection and support. I was lucky enough to have a family that supported me, a family that was my voice when I couldn't use it. And they were there through the whole thing. Not everybody's lucky enough to have that. Not everybody has that connection or that support. And it's so important to have that. And finally, once you do find this support, it's not always easy to navigate these systems. There's so many different titles with addictions, there's so many different forms of mental health issues that sometimes it's really, really hard to not only navigate the system, but just to find out where you're supposed to go in general. So sometimes it's hard for people to reach out for those supports just because they simply don't know who to reach out to. I think a lot of the time too, people get caught up on the word self in self-advocacy and think that you have to do everything for yourself. And that's simply not the case. If you reach out to someone else, that's still advocating for yourself, and often those people can be your biggest supports. I found that when you start reaching out to other people, when you start allowing those other people to help you, it makes your recovery journey that much easier. And the one thing I really learned just through sharing my voice and just for advocating for myself is that it doesn't only help me heal, it often helps others heal. So if you have a chance, put your voice out there because some people aren't brave enough. And I guess the last point that I want to make is there's 8 billion people out there and we're all different. So what works for me isn't going to work for everyone. Me sharing my story on a platform to 200 people or on social media, that won't always work for people who have crippling anxiety, stuff like that. So all I encourage you guys to do is just pick up that phone and call the one person you trust and talk to them. That's the beginning journey of self-advocacy. And once you take that first step, believe me, the rest will get easier with time.